Hey, boys and girls, I sure wish you were here with me at school. Thanksgiving is coming up next week. And since you're not here, we didn't get to talk about all that. But I want to talk to you about the very first Thanksgiving, the whole reason that we celebrate Thanksgiving to begin with. And Thanksgiving itself, of course, means giving thanks. And so this is a story. I know you've been putting up your names when we have pilgrims and Indians. And those are the characters in the very first Thanksgiving. We always talk about that to remember that time when they were very thankful that they had everything they had. So I'm going to read a book to you, and it's called The First Thanksgiving. It's by Linda Hayward, illustrated by James Watling. And it really tells you a lot of details about kind of the hardships. It was really hard for them to have the very first beginnings in America. And not every country celebrates Thanksgiving. So this is an American holiday, and I wanted to read to you about this. Plymouth, England, okay, a whole other country in 1620. A ship was in the harbor taking on passengers. The people getting aboard seemed too poor and too ordinary to ever be famous. And yet their names are now in history books. Now, almost 400 years later, we still tell their story. These are the people we call the Pilgrims. They are about to sail to a strange new land called America. So there were people living in America, but these guys were new to America. There weren't a lot of new people here. There were Indians, we call them Indians, American Indians, Native Americans, that were here already, but there weren't a lot of other people that had moved in yet. And so these guys are coming from England, or wanting to go to England, or from England to America. They've been warned that Indians may attack them. Even the voyage will be dangerous. Voyage. So voyage, what do you think it starts with? V, voyage. So a voyage is a trip, a really long trip, and this one is going to be a really hard trip. There may be pirates or hurricanes. Many a ship has sailed off and never been seen again. The Pilgrims are risking their lives. Why? It started with their king. The king declared that everybody must belong to his religion, his church. The Pilgrims wanted their own religion, and they tried meeting in secret. So in England, they were told they had to go to a certain kind of church, and they wanted to go to a different one. And so they decided to meet in secret. But the king sent spies to watch their houses. He sent soldiers to arrest their leaders. Even their neighbors turned against them. So the Pilgrims decided to leave England. So they thought, well, that's not really fair. We don't like that. So we're going to go somewhere else. Now at last, they are on the ship that will take them across the ocean, the Mayflower. So the name of this huge ship is called the Mayflower. And this is kind of a picture with the side cut out. It kind of shows you what it looked like inside. It had 3 different levels, and people were on parts, and the supplies they needed were on parts. Other people have joined them, and everyone hopes for a better life in America. They have given up their houses. They've said goodbye to their friends. They leave. They have said goodbye to England too, and the Mayflower is on its way. Okay, so here they are on this big ship. And the ship is crowded. There are 102 passengers in all. Most of them must stay in one stuffy place below the deck. It's cold and damp, and there's no water for washing or a toilet. So damp just means wet. So it's really wet under there. You know, it's kind of wet in the air, and they don't have any fresh water to drink, because you can't drink ocean water. And so they don't have any fresh water. Every day, the Pilgrims eat the same meal: pickled beef, cheese, and dry, hard bread. Some of the bread is full of worms. Even the water tastes bad. So they've got not very much food, and it's not very good food. They're just trying to eat it so they can stay alive, but it's not very good. Halfway across the ocean, the Mayflower is hit by terrible storms. Week after week, huge waves crash across the deck. It seems as if the small ship will break in two. So here's a bad storm. We said it was going to be a big voyage, and here's a bad storm they're having. But the Mayflower is still afloat after 9 long weeks at sea. Wow, 9 weeks. That's just a little bit. We've been in school just a little bit longer than that. It's been a long time. One morning, a lookout spots a dark speck ahead. Land. What a thrilling sight. They have reached their new home. The ship gets closer. The pilgrims see a sandy beach and many trees. America looks wild and strange. Is it safe? Are Indians hiding in the forest? They're probably glad to see land, but they might be a little bit worried about what they're going to find. A search party goes ashore. The men walk along for miles and miles. Suddenly they see Indians, but the Indians are frightened and run away. The men keep exploring. They find wonderful things: corn, baskets, a spring. They take fresh water back to the ship. Oh, how sweet it tastes. Wow, they finally got some good fresh water. You know, you can't live without good water. And so they finally got some good fresh water, but they took it back to the ship. Now the pilgrims must choose a good place to live, a place with a harbor and fresh water, and fields for planting as they find the perfect spot. Here a brook flows into the harbor. A big rock marks the landing. They will call this place New Plymouth. So a lot of people refer to it as Plymouth Rock, but it's New Plymouth, but look what Indians are watching, okay? They're kind of probably thinking, wow, what's going on with these guys? And the pilgrims were thinking, wow, what's going on with these Indians? The pilgrims begin a new life in a new land. There is so much to do. They must build houses before they can leave the ship, but it's winter. Bad weather slows them down. It takes weeks to finish just one house. Now, this is not in Ardmore, Oklahoma. This is in a place where they have a lot of snow, and it was a bad, cold winter. And remember, they came new, so they didn't have any houses, so they're going to stay on that ship for a while. And there is hardly enough to eat. The pilgrims survive on food from the ship, roots, wild birds, and shellfish. How they wish for a dish of pudding and a slice of beef. So they found a little bit more food there in the water there close to them, but that's it. All winter they've got to do that. On a nearby hill, the pilgrims make a platform for their cannons. They know the Indians are watching them. They can see smoke from their campfires. They can hear them in the woods. A guard is posted day and night. But neither one has hurt each other. They're just kind of wondering, kind of curious. Remember, we talked about curious. They're probably both kind of curious of each other. How hard that first winter is. Every day is a bleak and cold. Fierce, icy winds rip through the settlement. Freezing rain falls for hours. The pilgrims huddle together by their fires. They feel miserable and so alone. So I'm sure they're very scared. Almost everyone gets sick. Many people die. The small pilgrim band gets smaller and smaller. By the end of winter, only half of the pilgrims are still alive. So about half of them died. They just didn't have enough food and couldn't stay warm and everything. The pilgrims bury the dead at night in secret graves. The Indians must not know how few pilgrims are left and how weak those few are. So they're trying not to look like they're, not strong and everything, so the Indians won't attack them. But they don't really know about the Indians. They just heard things. So far, nothing's happened. The long, sad winter passes and spring arrives. Indians are sighted nearby. They come closer and closer, and then one day, an Indian walks right into the settlement. But the Indian smiles and says, "Welcome." His name is Samoset. He speaks English. Because remember, Native Americans would speak different languages than English. And so he actually knew some English and that they can talk, that he can talk to them. He learned it from sea captains. The pilgrims ask Samoset many questions. They give him presents. Okay, so now it looks like they're using the magic triad, making friends here, aren't they? They want to trust this friendly Indian. Samoset comes back with an Indian named Squanto. Squanto speaks even better English. He likes the pilgrims and he decides to live with them. He shows them how to survive in the wilderness, how to hunt for deer, and where to find berries and herbs. So the Indians know where all that food is, and so they can show the pilgrims how to do it. So Squanto really helped all those pilgrims. He also shows them how to plant corn the Indian way. The Indians put fish in the ground when they plant their seed. The fish makes the soil richer. So he's helping them not only find food that they can find, but also how to plant food that will grow here in America. The pilgrims want to make friends with all their Indian neighbors. Squanto and Samoset tell them about an Indian king called Massasoit. He's a great and wise leader. Massasoit comes to visit Plymouth. The pilgrim governor bows and kisses the Indian king's hand. Massasoit bows and kisses the governor's hand, and then they talk together. So this is just kind of a greeting that they used to do. And so they're both using this greeting in a happy, pleasant way so they can talk together and maybe work something out where they can be friends. A treaty is made. A treaty is a promise. So they're both going to make this promise. The pilgrims and the Indians will not harm each other or hurt each other. There'll be peace. The Indian leader draws his sign. The governor writes his name, and this treaty is kept for 54 years. So 54 years, they had promised not to hurt each other. In April, the Mayflower sails back to England. Remember the Mayflower's that ship. But the pilgrims are sad to see it leave, but not one of them leaves with it. They all want to stay in America. So only the crew that was driving, sailing the boat, they're the ones that went back to England. All the pilgrims stayed in America. The pilgrims work hard all summer. In the fall, the fields are full of good things to eat. It's a time of plenty for the pilgrims. How thankful they are. They have food and shelter and new friends, the Indians. The pilgrims decide to invite the Indians to a Thanksgiving feast. Massasoit promises to come. So the Indians showed the pilgrims how to plant all this food. They did all this hard work in the summer to get it all planted. And in the fall, like now, all the food is ripe and ready. And they've got tons of food. And so they're very excited about that. They also have their houses built and they have new friends. So they just have everything great. God's given them everything great, and they're going to celebrate that. What a surprise. Massasoit arrives with 90 Indians. Wow. The pilgrims are worried. How can they feed so many people? They weren't worried about fighting or anything. They were just worried about, we weren't planning for that many. But Massasoit knows what to do. He sends some men into the forest. They come back with 5 deer, and now there's enough for everyone. So the Indians help bring some food too. You might have that at your family. Maybe everybody brings a little something. The eldest pilgrim says a prayer of thanks. Then the feast begins. Everyone eats so much: turkey, lobster, goose, deer meat, onions, pumpkin, cornbread, berries. I've even heard they had popcorn there. The feast lasts for 3 days. Wow. People eat and sleep and then eat again. The Indians do special dances. The pilgrim men run races. They have shooting matches. The children play games like tag and blind man's bluff. Everyone has a wonderful time. So they pretty much have a big party for 3 days celebrating. As the years go by, some people from England come to America. The little town of Plymouth gets bigger and bigger. The children of the pilgrims grow up and have children of their own, and they have harvest feasts too. So they just keep doing this every year. In 1863, Abraham Lincoln, the President of the United States of America, makes Thanksgiving Day a national holiday. The first Thanksgiving is never forgotten. So now that's why we celebrate Thanksgiving every year, because Abraham Lincoln decided it was a very important day to remember that we have so much and that we're thankful for our family, our friends, and all the food that we have, everything that we have. And so that's when we celebrate. So probably you have maybe have dinner with your family. Maybe some friends come over. This year I know it's going to be a little bit different, but maybe you have some turkey. Maybe you have lots of other fun stuff. Some people like maybe watch football that day just for fun. Maybe the kids play games. Some people, it's like at my family, we have Thanksgiving celebration, and then we end up decorating our Christmas tree that night just together. So it's kind of a fun time that that we have, but we need to remember the word Thanksgiving means we're giving thanks to God for everything we have, because everything we have has definitely come from Him. And that's what this whole Thanksgiving is about. So if someone doesn't know that, you can tell them and let your parents know. I'm sure they remember, but maybe you can talk to them about all these details and ask them some more questions. But I hope you learned a lot from this, and now you can complete your Thanksgiving book that tells what you're thankful for. Maybe you're thankful for your friends and your family. Maybe you're thankful for your clothes, your food, your toys, your house. So you can finish that book up and read it to your parents. I'm sure you can read that after you're finished. And I guess I will get to talk to you soon. Probably see you Friday for letter sacks, letter W. All right, talk to you later. Bye.